Okay, so I want to show you today how to do a two-way table and then how to interpret the results. This is something we call relative frequency. Anytime you see a question where it asks about the relative frequency, the question is just asking you for a percentage. So just keep in mind, if it ever says what percentage, obviously you want a percentage, but if it ever says what is the relative frequency, it also wants a percentage for an answer. So the first thing I want you to know about two-way tables is that when we look at two-way tables, they will be comparing, obviously, two sets of information, but sometimes when we get a two-way table, it's completed, and then sometimes it's not, and we have to add to it. So the first thing I want you to know is that when you are looking at a two-way table, if you do not see total as one of your rows and one of your columns, then I want you to add that, always. So if I look at my first example here, after a series of matches between a school's team and their rivals, the school secretary analyzed the relationship of the number of wins and the matches played. The results are summarized in a two-way table below. Now, what I notice is that I don't see any totals. So you always want to do a total column at the end, and you always want to do a total row at the bottom. So those are two things that if you don't see, then you want to extend your table and you want to add those. And then all we have to do to add those is total up your rows and columns. So take your calculator and let's total our volleyball. So 23 plus 18. 23 plus 18 is 41, so write that in. And then 40 plus 10 would be 50, write that in. And then 15 plus 25 would be 40. And so write that in. Okay, then we're going to total at the bottom, we're going to total our columns. So we're going to add up the number of boys' wins. So 23 plus 40 plus 15. That's 78. And then 18 plus 10 plus 25. And that is 53. And then 41 plus 50 plus 40. And that's 131. Okay, so now that you have your table finished, you can answer the questions. How many total wins did the school's volleyball teams register? Well, total wins for the school's volleyball teams. Now, volleyball is on this row, and if you go over to our total, it would be 41. So the answer to number 1 would be 41. Number 2, how many more wins did the boys' teams have than the girls' teams? Well, before we can answer that, we need to know how many total wins the boys had and how many total wins the girls had. So if we look at the boys wins, if we go down to the bottom and look at that total, that's 78. And the girls wins, if we go down to the bottom and look at that total, that's 53. So how many more did the boys have? That would be 78 minus 53. And if you take your calculator and subtract that, you get 25. Okay, so those are just when we're being asked questions about totals and numbers, and sometimes they will do that. Then sometimes they'll do like what you see at the bottom where they're going to ask about percentages. Again, if you do not see totals, you need to actually add those. I do have a total over here on the columns, but I don't have a total at the bottom, and I may not need it, but I'm going to go ahead and add it because I might need it, and I don't want to have to add it each time. So if I total down for the boys and the girls and my totals, I will take my calculator and add 45 plus 50 plus 42, and that's 137. And then 32 plus 38 plus 32, and that's 102. And then 77 plus 88 plus 74, and that's 239. Okay, now let's answer the questions about the percentages. Those are done a little differently because what's in our table are numbers, not percentages, and I'm going to show you how to find percentages using a two-way table. Number 3, what is the percentage of boys that regularly drink water? Okay, so what I have is if I look at boys and I look at water, the number of boys that drink water is 45. So what I'm going to do is circle the numbers I'm going to use to find my percent. Now, 45 is the number of boys that drink water, so I'm going to use that number. The way that I know, you're always going to be dividing by a total. Now, what we have to figure out is, do I divide by the total 77 or do I divide by the total 137? And here's how you know. Look at what comes directly after the word of. And whatever comes directly after the word of, that is where your total number comes from. So what is the percentage of boys? So you do your boys total. So look at boys, go down to the bottom and use that total, 137. So if I take my calculator and do 45 divided by 137, that will give me 0.32846 and on and on. So I would move my decimal 2 places to the right, and that I'm going to round these to 1 place past the decimal to the nearest tenth, and that would be 32.8. So 32.8%, and that's the answer to number 3. Okay, let's look at number 4. What is the percentage of girls that regularly drink water? Okay, so let's look at girls that drink water. That's 32. And what comes after the word of is girls, so we're going to use the girls total, 102. So it's 32 divided by 102. And see what percent that is. (31.4). Number 5. What is the percentage of girls that regularly drink soda? So girls that drink soda would be 38. Divide by my girls total, because that comes after the word of. So 38 divided by 102. And that is 37.3%. Number 6, what is the percentage of boys that regularly drink soda? So boys that drink soda is 50. And after the word of is boys, so we're going to use our boys total. So we have 50 divided by 137. And that is 36.5%. All right, number 7. What is the percentage of the students that regularly drink water? What comes after the word of is the students. Well, how many total students do we have? Well, that's going to be this number in the bottom right corner. We have a total of 239 students. So that's what's going to go on the bottom. And we want to know students that regularly drink water. Well, the number of students that regularly drink water would be boys and girls combined, because students could be a boy or a girl. That would be 77 kids. 77 students regularly drink water out of a total students of 239. So 77 divided by 239. And that is 32.2%. Okay. Last one. What is the percentage of students excuse me, that regularly drink soda? Again, we're going to use of student, so that's the 239. Regularly drink soda, that's 88. (88) divided by 239 gives us a percentage of 36.8. Sometimes you're going to be given a table, and they're going to ask you to complete the two-way table. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If they're asking you to complete it, then you're going to use the information given in the directions, and you're going to fill in what you know. Below you'll find an incomplete two-way table that shows the number of girls and boys that were passing economics and science. There are a total of 72 boys and 72 girls taking economics. There are 78 boys and 60 girls taking science. Okay. So if we know that there are 61 boys passing economics, and we know that there are a total of 72 boys that are taking economics, then how many does that leave that would be failing? 72 minus 61. So you can use your calculator. And that would leave 11. So 11 failing. Same thing for the girls. If there are 72 girls taking economics, 67 are passing, how many does that leave that are failing? Well, that's 72 minus the 67 leaves 5. Now let's do science. If there are a total of 78 boys and 60 girls taking science. Well, if there's 78 boys taking science and 69 are passing, then how many does that leave that have failed? 9, or are failing, 9. For girls, if there are 60 girls taking science, 53 are passing. That leaves 7 that are failing. Now to do our totals, all we have to do is add straight down and then add straight across. So if we add straight down, 61 plus 67 is 128. 11 plus 5 is 16. 69 plus 53 is 122. And 9 and 7 is 16. Now we want to add straight across. 61 plus 11 plus 69 plus 9. And straight across for the girls. 67, 5, 53, and 7. And my totals. 128, 16, 122, and 16 again, for a total of 282 students. Now, number 9, calculate the percentage of boys passing economics. Let's look at boys and look at passing economics. That is 61. And of boys, how many total boys are there? 150. So 61 divided by 150. 40.7. Number 10, calculate the percent of girls passing science. So girls passing science is 53. Of girls, there's 132 girls. So that's 53 divided by 132. Whoops. 40.2%. Calculate the percent of students passing science. Okay, passing science, boys and girls combined would be students, so that's 122. Divided by how many students total? That's going to be the 282. So 122 divided by 282 would be 43.3%. And calculate the percent of students passing economics. Passing economics, go down to the number of students, boys and girls combined, would be 128 out of a total student body of 282. 128 divided by 282 gives us 45.4%. And 13 says complete the two-way table above. We did that first, so we don't have to do that after we've already done it. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of how to complete a two-way table and then how to find the percentages to answer the question. Remember, don't forget, if it asks you for a percent or relative frequency, that's when you do the dividing. But if it just asks you for like total wins or how many more wins or a number, then you don't have to do the percentage unless it asks for a percentage or a relative frequency. Okay, so I'm going to let you do your assignment now. It's on Canvas, so you can open that up and begin, and I'll help you if you need any help. And again, if you have questions and you're at home, send me a message on inbox, and I'll be glad to answer that.